discussion. So that means live, we're going to be talking with multiple people, not just me. So let's welcome everyone to the crew. Thank you for joining me, everybody. How's it going?
Good.
Awesome. Let's kick off. I'm gonna have people introduce themselves. I'm gonna go in order here. So Ben, welcome. You're the VP of Product for Cared For. Tell us a little bit about yourself, quick.
Yeah, so Cared For has been in business for about 5 years, and I've been on board the whole time. And we've grown. We're a nationwide company now, actually kind of worldwide, I guess, because we have clients in New Zealand now. So worldwide. So there you go. But yeah, we do software for behavioral health, mental health, addiction treatment facilities with clinical and content and community tools.
That's awesome. Mental health, behavioral health, great discussion points as well for our discussion today. Rakesh, you're up next. Technical lead from BCBS, Michigan.
Yep. So this is Rakesh. So I'm the technical lead and a developer advocate at Blue Cross Blue Shield of Michigan, trying to solve the problems as they come up. Insurance, as you know, there are too many things that are changing, and Blue Cross is one of the leader in the insurance. So we had to deal with all those changes that are coming up, and some insurance aspect from the country as well. The mandates, CMS mandates, all those. So they all come in place. Yeah.
Great. Well, nice to have you. Up next, we have Paulina from OpenForge, lead software engineer. How you doing?
Good. How are you?
I'm doing well. Can't complain.
Yeah. So like Matt said, I'm Paulina. I'm the lead software engineer at OpenForge, where I lead an amazing team and we build cool mobile apps together using Ionic. We've built a wide variety of applications over the past couple of years, and we are one of Ionic's trusted partners as well.
And we welcome having you. Thank you. Up next on your screen is Diptman, the senior systems analyst from Conagra. How are you doing?
I'm doing good. Thank you. So I come from Conagra. We are mostly in the food business. You'll see if all the frozen's, mostly if you go to the frozen section, it will be Conagra. We started with Ionic a couple of years back, built at least 5 applications right now with Ionic, doing good. A lot of things changed during this pandemic, the way we do our business, but things are holding good.
Definitely. I think it's safe to say that on this panel, including Ionic, all of our businesses have drastically changed, right? This year, 2020, has brought a lot of change, a lot of turmoil, right? Our personal lives have been affected drastically. Our work lives have been affected drastically. We've had to invite people into a little bit of our personal lives, a la work from home, right? And there's a lot of uncertainty around just things in general that are happening around us, right? We've got vaccine maybe coming down the pipeline, new president. We've got open questions on what is the new normal? When are things maybe going to return to normal? Is that even going to happen? And on top of that, as every year, we have technology trends kind of impacting just what's going on in our lives anyways, right? We're new stuff all the time. Recently I've turned my home into a smart home. I'm probably late to the trend on that one. But we're getting there. And in terms of development this year, I think we've all been really impacted. To give a few examples that aren't on the panel here, I mean, you look at even apps like the very popular Pokemon Go, an app about going outside, right? Had a little bit of a year where they had to figure out, how do we get people to play at their houses? I doubt Zoom wanted to spend their entire 2020, right, working on security features and getting blasted by the media in early 2020. But they're, as we all know, doing just fine now. So with that, we have a diverse panel of a lot of businesses here. I'd love to kind of take a little bit of a back seat and get the discussion rolling here and just talk about first, I think, 2020 and how we've been impacted and reacted to this. So I'm not sure if someone wants to take the first stab at how they've been impacted in 2020 and maybe some of the changes that they've had to make or changes that have happened to their business and how you reacted. I'll pick.
Yeah. All right. Sure. I think I can go there. Yep. So I think 2020, as it sounds, it's a a bit crazy year, I guess, right? So when we started off, we, to took in a bold step where we had to rewrite the entire mobile application, our mobile application. So we picked Ionic, one of the leading platform there. So the biggest challenge that we faced was remote work. As a corporate, Blue Cross wasn't being, they didn't entertain their remote work before, but they got into a state where they were eventually moving with some of the plans, the internal plans. They were rolling out, they were proof of concept. There was changing some of the norms. But the biggest challenge to me was that development where you had to validate your mobile applications on the real devices. On top of it, you got to communicate with the other developers. As a Blue Cross, we actually, and as a agile team, where we group together, brainstorm together, sit in next to each other, talk about the application, talk about the implementation plan, all that. That's been a bit crazy, to be frank, and we got to understand how remote works goes, make use of the technologies like Teams, Slack, whatnot. That's an interesting move, I guess. And that's where the challenges lies. And the corporate itself was, changing a lot. Remote was one of them, and the other thing was the telecommunication for supporting the members. All those there were really big changes in the insurance industry as well. Yep.
Yeah, on the telecommunications side, Ben, I think you had a lot going on there this year, right?
We did, yes. So we have, well, to kind of Rakesh's point, right? I mean, learning how to work remotely, learning how to work. We're going from a team that's been in the office for 5 years to being a remote team has been a challenge for sure. But from a technical standpoint, from a product standpoint, we've had, so we have a telehealth platform in our product, and we've had this for about a year now. I guess a little over a year. We launched it late 2019, I guess, and fully not aware of what was going to happen in 2020, right? I mean, this was kind of serendipitous, I guess, but we went from about 60 telehealth sessions in the app per month, all the way from about October through March. We had about 60 per month. And from April till now, I mean, we're up to over 2,000 telehealth sessions in the app per month. So our product has shifted pretty considerably, to a heavy focus on telehealth over this year.
So, I mean, first of all, that's crazy scale, and that's really good that you guys kind of just happened to accidentally be prepared in advance, having programmed the telehealth side of the application. But I mean, I'm assuming a lot of people were not prepared. Paulina, I mean, you coming from the development side of the house, what's been going on there? How have you been helping people get prepared?
Yeah, I mean, I have a very unique perspective as OpenForge is primarily a services company. So internally, we felt pretty fine actually pivoting to being fully remote, because a lot of who I've interacted with who wasn't in the Philadelphia office was already remote. It was nice though, because I feel like I'm actually communicating more than I ever did. I'm on more meetings. We're trying to be more transparent with our processes. We're having more quarterly reviews to try to understand the core status of the company, understand our pipeline, having designers, QA, management in our developer meetings to kind of see what's going on, because if they're not in our meet, they're not in our Slack channels, they're kind of blind. But I feel like I've talked with more individuals online than I've ever did before in my company, which is, I think it's lovely. And we've had a lot of fun with it. We've tried to get very creative in our meetings, especially with some of our customers as well. We've had to shift some of our processes that we typically like to do in person to remote too, as well. Product mapping, for example, we typically like doing in person, but fully virtual now. We've come up with a way to do these exercises with customers, and it's really fun, just kind of sharing and plugging in together. And Yeah, as much as like this is a very interesting shift, I feel like OpenForge and myself it's been a delight, actually. I feel like I've bonded more with my coworkers in the last couple of months than I have in the past couple of years.
For sure. I think Ionic as well is a very remote friendly company in the
Yeah.
first place. Like when we started this, we had employees all over the world already. So for us, even it was kind of just like, hey guys, we're shutting down. Like, don't come to work on Monday. The office is closed. Everybody just work from home. And like the next day, it was like, hey, everybody, what's up? Like, not that it was normal. This is anything but normal, but it was definitely kind of a smooth transition for us as well. I'm curious though, if anything, for my own benefit. How are you pulling off the kind of remote interactions when it comes to like the planning or the mind mapping or anything like that? Like any tools or secrets you can share with us?
Certainly. So I mentioned product mapping. I honestly, product mapping, the way we do it at OpenForge is a tried and true strategy when it comes to pivoting in a product. We've had customers come in the door with applications in response to COVID. We saw that pretty early in Q2, Q3. So sitting them down and walking them through a product map phase really gave an idea of what exactly would need to be done. Likewise, existing customers that came in that using like the Pokemon Go example, like we need to come up with a strategy to pivot. Sitting down and going back to the product map phase, it kind of resets and kind of levels the playing field of like, let's revisit the business as a whole. That I think that's a tried and true strategy with our customers that has worked very well in a sense with something that requires pivots. One thing that we've done internally that I think has benefited as well, as far as a strategy, is holding monthly town halls. So I host the monthly town hall with my development team, and we give the opportunity for people to share what they're working on outside of work, any initiatives in other technology realms that we can introduce and offer to our customers as well. I had a developer, our last town hall, a couple weeks ago. He was playing around with the iOS widgets, trying to see, let's see if we can put that in a capacitor app. And he showed it off, and it looks amazing. So trying to create an open space where developers feel comfortable going outside, doing their own thing, and bringing the technology back into OpenForge and OpenForge sharing with Ionic customers, even our own education platform.
Definitely. Diptimon, how has 2020 gone for yourself? Anything crazy you guys have gone through over in the Conagra food business?
Yeah, it's been crazy. Like to start with, during mid of 2020, around April, May, the demand increased a lot. Like people were trying to fill up their refrigerator with frozen foods and all. So like at that time, our sales and demand were at the peak, and we got a lot of requests on to how to make our plants safe. Like we were asked to build an application which would be a touch free for our plant employees. Right now they have a chrono system where they click something, a touchpad where they input their timesheet, like when they enter into the plant and go out. Now they wanted a touch-free system with face recognitions and all. Those are some of those initiatives which started with because of COVID. And again, we also invested on a bracelet. Like it would be a social distancing bracelet. It would beep if you're within a 6 feet. It would give you a history. If you get a COVID, it would give you a history of who all you have been in contact in the last 1 month. So it's been crazy over there. So we have, with this COVID thing, a lot of our initiative has shifted to make our plants safe so that we can still produce the food that we are doing. Yeah.
Definitely. I mean, by far, I think you are the most, I don't even know the right words here, like physically intensive company on the panel here in terms of, you have to continue kind of working in your actual locations, right, in the factories and keep going from there. And how we figure out how to make that work safely, I think has been definitely a huge thing in 2020. I mean, we've talked kind of a lot. We've talked about, I mean, device testing gets harder. Everybody's got to have their own kind of devices kind of to test mobily, right? Work from home has changed a lot of this. We've been working on a lot of remote work, safety things. From the standpoint of, I mean, the other side of this is human, and I'd love to hit on that quick before we kind of rush on to how we're going to treat next year. But from the human side of this equation, I feel like a lot has changed as well. Here we've done, bi-weekly happy hours. Friday we kind of get everybody in the company come hang out, talk to each other, talk about hobbies, just what's going on, right? Kind of try to keep up the, the water cooler talk, if you will, is one thing. Any other ideas that you guys have been implementing at your places of work on the human side?
So one of the things that we're doing is we've recently started this over the last month is doing pods, I guess is what we call them. And so we'll have an hour, every week where we don't plan anything for that hour. Nobody has any meetings or anything like that over that hour. And we break up the team into pods of 3 or 4 people each. And that team, that pod is going to be who you're with for the next month, and then we'll switch it up. And so you kind of really get to know your coworkers a little bit better, get to figure out like what's going on in their lives. And, we can do this virtually through technologies that are out there now. So it's been really interesting. It's been a good experience for us so far.
Yeah, that's awesome. Anybody else have any other feedback on that?
Yeah, likewise. Here at OpenForge, we've set aside like a couple times every 2 weeks to do something called demo days. So demo days is pretty much exactly what it sounds. It's a show and tell of pretty much anything that you've been working on in any project. We were working on a product called Startup Wars, which was a game. It's really cool. I'm excited to share later on, maybe the next couple months. But we do demo days, and the gaming team would demo what's happening in the game, and everybody would get so excited because it's been a couple weeks and suddenly you'd see progress. And it'd be an open invitation to anybody on the team to demo anything, development or not related. And we've focused on trying to keep the water cooler talk in Slack along with in Meet as well. So planning some happy hours, like you said, Matt, along with creating some channels in Slack as well. We have a cooking channel, a gaming channel. So we kind of keep our casual talk in there to people post photos of what they've eaten for dinner, recipes they've made. So kind of just sharing. And we try to open the conversation up during our daily stand-up as well, asking how everybody's feeling, trying to keep our cameras on just so we can take face-to-face, encouraging everybody on the team to take advantage of flex time, realizing if you do need a day or a half a day, that we wholeheartedly want everybody on the team here at OpenForge to take that. We encourage it. We realize it's difficult for some people to separate their work from home, especially if they live in a small apartment, a condo, if they really don't have a dedicated office. So even getting in that mentality is difficult. So we've come together and talked about strategies of what you can do, even stretches you can do when you get out of your desk. So just encouraging that type of conversation.
Definitely.
Yeah.
On the Slack note too, my favorite channel personally, because we also have like gaming and food and things like that. My favorite though is our dogs channel, where we all just post pictures of our puppies. Sadly, I do not have my puppy with me because it would be probably biting my feet the entire time. But 100%, we are sharing all of our pets with each other and all that they can be. Pets are a requirement in Zoom nowadays.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. I think that's one of the way that you keep yourself. Sometimes it's required for us to keep ourselves away from work, isn't it? Because when you're working from home, you're always connected to the work.
Mm-hmm.
And I felt like when you go to office, there is some amount of time that you set aside to communicate with each other. That sets you into a state where you're relaxing yourself. And you're working from home, that's equally important and required. And that reminds me of a couple of events we had where it's it's kind of like an outdoor where we met with some of the team members and celebrated some of the events where, successful release of the applications, all that stuff. That was interesting too. And one of the other one were Paulina was saying the meetings were also helpful. We had retros, we had demos. That reminds me of how we communicate with each other, and the video conferences were helping us, looking at each other without looking at each other for a long period of time, was keeping away or creating that distance where you don't interact with each other that well. But video conferences were one of those which was helping us. Yeah.
Definitely. I feel you. It's nice to be in a group of people that, like, we are all going through the same thing, but it's nice to actually talk about it. Tiptaman, how about yourself? Anything you're doing on the collaboration front?
Yeah, we actually, it's our CIO. She started a monthly meeting which is called video development. Like we would choose a topic. The topics are decided from like what we did in plans for COVID, or what is happening in other space of the applications or the workplace. We would decide a topic, discuss it, have an open forum with the questions and all. So people can interact with each other. That's a good thing that we started with this COVID thing, like video development, which is going nice. Now that okay, still people are working and they're around with that's pretty good.
For sure. And then we do still have Q&A active for this session, by the way. So if you want to ask questions, feel free to ask questions, and I will try my best to slip them into the discussion. We do have one that Rakesh might be really good for you to kick off, specifically around testing. I'm curious how you've handled kind of the physical device testing, but in terms of any automated testing or changes in structure there and what you've had to do, can you talk just a little bit more in depth about that stuff?
Definitely. Actually, when we started off, it was a bit tedious for us, but we ended up leveraging some of the softwares out there as a services where you can really interact with the real device, but it's kind of like a virtual. So virtual devices in place were helping. And one of the company that we were tapping into was Perfecto. So, they give us some cradles where you have to have a device and validate your application on the real device, but through interacting with a web portal. So that was helping us. Yeah.
That's really cool. Anything else on that front? They don't let me program anymore, so I'm not testing on devices anymore.
Well, there are some situations where you definitely need a real device in hand. So you can't skip out of it, but we ended up buying devices. So there's no other workaround is what I felt.
Yeah, shipping them to everybody.
Yeah,
that's it.
I'd be curious to go back to our office, which none of us have been to in February, and see just how much technology has been stolen by ourselves, right? I know I'm over here rocking, a work monitor and my work chair. In case you can't see it, but the office is probably barren. Cool. So, I mean, we've talked a little bit about the human element. We've talked a little bit about what we've already went through. I'm curious now too about the future, right? Like we're going into next year. The holiday season is upon us in a couple weeks here. I think we'll all get to hopefully take a little bit of a deep breath, right? Relax for hopefully maybe a week, and then kind of continue on and see how we can improve in 2021. So I'm curious, do you guys have any like key goals or things that you're definitely prioritizing as work come the new year? Maybe Ben.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. We have one goal is to further expand our telehealth platform to really capture more of the market share than we currently have there. It seems to be in high demand. And so some of these things, right, that we've seen in 2021, that we've seen in 2020 aren't going away in 2021, right? I mean, telehealth was rushed in. It existed before, but it was emergency rushed in 2020, and it's not going to go away now. Even when we get back to normal, the new normal is now people expect to have telehealth visits with their doctor.
For sure.
or with their therapist or with whoever. And so figuring out ways that we can expand on that platform is a key goal of ours. Also looking at more integrations with different EHRs and EMRs to be able to get a more seamless transition get patients more seamlessly transitioned into our app is a key goal for us as well. But beyond that, I mean, we're looking at, so primarily our main niche right now is addiction treatment, but we've with the product that we've built this year with the telehealth and all that, we really feel like we can expand into broader behavioral health and mental health spaces. So that's one of the things that we're really focused on in 2021 is expanding our niche, I guess you would say, into still continuing to serve the addiction treatment space, but really focusing on broader behavioral health as well.
Yeah, I've seen, I mean, personally, I'm sure we all have, but in terms of telehealth, right? Like on regular doctor visits, I've only been Zoom since like February. Therapy, I've only been Zoom. I even like fell down my deck and hurt my back, and they're like, "Yeah, here's a Zoom link," and I'm like, "I hurt my back. What do you want me to do here?" And they're like, "Yeah, we're doing it over Zoom." I was like, "Okay, whatever."
Yeah.
Fine, obviously, but it's
yeah. I had a dermatologist appointment, and he was like, "Well, here's the Zoom link." I'm like, "Well, this is weird. Like, come on. Like, am I gonna like hold my phone camera up to my arm to show you the spot? Like, I mean, that seems weird."
Definitely been interesting, to say the least. So how about Rakesh? How about you? Anything planned for 2021 or any continuation of stuff you're working on?
Yep. Actually, there are big, drastic good movements from the company itself. So now that the COVID hit us, I think company as a whole might be looking at how we can help the members to better communicate with them or help them with the right resources and all. So that's one of the goal I think the company will go towards in 2021. In addition to that, I see that there are technical improvements as well that the company is focusing on, and so the mandates will come up. I feel from the government itself, CMS mandates, all those, so they'll come in place. I think they focus on that in 2021, and improving the member experience is always a top priority for Blue Cross. And on top of it, I think personally, what I feel is I think personal my goal is to stay intact with my health, maybe do some physical activities now and then. As you're working from home these days, I think you got to step up and move a little more than required, perhaps.
I definitely bought a Nintendo. What do you call it? Nintendo Ring Fit, right? The workout game. I'm back into it. I've been slacking for sure. So yeah, I feel you on that point. Personal goals abound in 2021. Our New Year's resolutions are going to be a little different or a little the same this year, depending on how you look at it. But a lot to work on them. How about yourself, Diptaman?
Yeah, the major thing that came up with us is to finish what we have started with those touch-free apps, building it, completing it, to productionize it. That's the major goal. And also we got to keep the business running, keep the business running with the apps that we have, with the support we have. A lot of other applications are being built on the marketing side. Again, that's a change the way you have been marketing things. So that's another thing that we are going to venture in 2021.
For sure. Paulina, how about yourself? Or I guess a better question for you might be, you're a services company. What's changed on what you're working on? Have you seen a change in what other people's goals are for 2021 going forward, right?
Yeah, I definitely see a change. I've seen a change in applications that have come to us for help. I've seen a wide variety of topics and app types as well. Definitely shift into other areas that they didn't expect. personally, I've seen an increase of subscription content. A lot of applications wanting to start to tap into the subscription market now. You see, like even last year, for example, subscriptions was only 10% of the whole in-app purchase market for all in-app purchase types last year, which is astounding, and it's expected to go up this year and continue to go up. So we've seen pivots on that front, which I think is very interesting and surprising, but not really, because a lot of these subscription models are currently present in a lot of these products. You see video content services are subscription-based. It's becoming kind of the norm now. But as far as like key goals internally, as a leader, I want to focus on my team's mental health, and I want to continue focusing on that in 2021. I'm human, my team's human, our end users are human. We want to make sure we're in the best mindset always. And I want to make sure that's important when going into 2021, along with encouraging education, growing our team. As a company, we know a lot. We've been in a lot of different app spaces, a lot of different app types. And in 2021, we want to create content and share what we learned in 2020 and before that, for sure. It's been a very unique experience.
Yeah, I think if anything, 2020 has showed us, as we've all gone through the same human experience together, right? This is something that everyone across the world has had to deal with. But I agree with you, right? Like the human element is a huge thing now, that the businesses actually have to think about, manage better than we did before, right?
And we've worked together. It's not even just the application itself that we need to think about the human element. It's changed testing. It's changed beta testing, getting feedback from users. We've had to come up with creative ways to work together with our customers to figure out how to get feedback. So we used to do in-person beta testing and obviously
users, like,
yeah.
Yes, do it. Yeah.
Yeah, when we were working on our in-house game, we've gone to a couple conferences, a couple schools, and we watch how the kids would interact with our game, but we're not able to do that. So we've come up with creative ways of approaching universities that were doing like online courses and trying to set up a program where they'd be beta testing our application in line of their curriculum, and giving us feedback and kind of watching us as we take that feedback and create new features in the mobile application live. So kind of walking them through the business part of how to build a mobile application while they're testing for us. So it's a win-win.
Definitely.
Yeah.
So Diptimon, I think this next one, I'm going to go, let's go in reverse order now. No, honestly, I think this one is just something you hit on a little bit in the beginning here. A lot of technology has also just changed over the past year, or at least come to light, right? It's something that new physical technologies are also things that are going on, right? Up next, we're going to have a talk on, wearables and augmented reality. But Diptimon, you were talking about how, we don't want people touching a touchpad anymore, so we have to start using this other technology. Do you have more plans for that in 2021?
Yeah, actually. So we use Microsoft Faces. That's another API which we will be using, and we started doing a POC on it, like for face recognition, for authentication, and based on it will recognize your face. Based on that, it will go and recognize your AD and then sign you in. So those are the new technology ventures that we did, like, and how to make it still secure, so that, and still the things are working, because this is all about your time entry and time out of so it's everything is related to security and budget. So those are the major features that first thing that we have to take into account, and we are working on it.
For sure. Any other I'm just open question. Any other technology trends that people are following, like more so than before this year?
For me, I've always followed the gaming industry, but I'm following the gaming industry a lot more closely after 2020, especially because the gaming industry is 25%. All of the applications in the App Store, 25% of them are games. And you've seen an interesting curve in 2020 where a lot more people have downloaded games more than ever on the store. Mainly for casual, you were working from home, you had a lot of time, so people were downloading games, and you'd see some interesting trends as a result from some of these games. A lot of multiplayer games were coming out. A lot of I'll use the example Among Us. Among Us came out a couple years ago, but suddenly it got popular overnight.
Is that because it's collaborative social gamers, or because you push people out of a spaceship? I want to know which aspect of humanity it's ripping off of.
Yeah, definitely. I am focusing on certain application types. A lot of media and video has increased this year as well. Entertainment applications. From a technology standpoint, what my team has been really focusing on is capacitor. I love capacitor. Exactly. We've built a couple capacitor plugins. We expect a lot of Cordova to capacitor migrations in the Ionic realm next year. So we're excited to assist teams for that. Ionic View is a huge topic among my company right now. A lot of internal ideas floating around for our next town hall demo day with Ionic View. So a lot of Ionic related technologies.
That's awesome. I'm glad to hear it, obviously.
I mean, we live and breathe it every day here at OpenForge, so we love it.
Well, thank you.
That similar thing applies to me as well. So the capacitor is one of those plugins that change the things a bit differently. I think I myself been a Cordova and the native, development world and leading the development team as well. But capacitor, we actually in the Blue Cross as well for the member-facing applications we had to create some plugins as well. I think it was open source, but capacitor is one of those I can say good ones that we encountered last year. And I think the investment that we're going to do is to migrate and keep up with the Ionic frameworks, which includes Capacitor 3.0. 2.0 is coming up. I heard 3.0 is also on its way out, so that's great. And one more technology one that we are focusing is the security aspect of the application. And I know Ionic is also investing in it a lot. I know there is a plugin, so we are, getting into finding our ways to, get in the position where we improve our security of the application as well. Yeah,
for sure.
Definitely.
Anyone else want to add more on that topic?
Well, I think for us, we have over 100 clients, and each of them have their own app in the App Store, and so we've just kind of replicated our app, I guess, about 100 times, and so we're looking at ways that we can. I mean, one of the things that we're really following is PWAs to see, like, is this really going to take traction, and can we streamline some of our process here to help make this an easier transition for our clients and for ourselves as well. And so that's one of the things we're looking for. But honestly, one of the things that we've seen a heavy focus on is data and analytics. And I think that the unpredictability of 2020 has really caused a lot of our clients to try to dig deeper into data and analytics and say to help kind of predict of we want more certainty in 2021, and we're not going to make these big moves unless we're certain that these things are going to happen. And so it's one of the things for us is figuring out how to get the right data out of our app, and then figure out the best ways to report that so that we can help our clients make these bigger decisions about their platform and about their product.
Yeah, that's a huge point. I hadn't thought about that, right? Like the rise of understanding now that we are all remote, We are all functioning through our screens and our phones. Alone. We're not. I don't remember the last time I've walked around in many big box retailers or anything like that. Like having to understand how people act online, right? How people, how you can make a decision for your business in the world where now there are eyes on all this data, right?
Yeah.
For sure. Let's see. So, from that standpoint, I think too, and I'm just curious what you guys think. This just popped in my head as you two were talking. Is I look at a lot of our clients, right, and I see what is kind of an influx in, I'm going to say eyeballs from the business on what we're doing in mobile, right, and how important it is. You see new projects getting funded where maybe budget was tight last year, and all of a sudden it's like, nope, this is a priority now. Let's do it. You guys just mentioned, hey, we're trying to stay up to date now. We're trying to look at new technologies. We're doing rewrites, even, kind of starting over and seeing what's up. So I'm just curious, have you seen that? Have you felt that? Like, are there kind of more eyes, more resources to what you're working on?
Yeah, for us, we actually started using an integration platform, like for all the application, not only mobile, web, or everywhere. We started using an integration platform. That's something that we invested a lot this last 6 months, and it will still continue. It's been MuleSoft. That's the integration platform we are using.
Yeah, that makes a lot. Let's see here. Yet again, just want to say that Q&A is open. So if you want any of your questions answered live, throw them my way, and I will try to make them get them onto the recording here. In terms of, we've talked a lot about change, a lot about what we're going through, both human and in our business. Have there been things that remain tried and true strategies that you want to make sure people don't forget are still a thing, that you can still go forth and have some sense of normalcy in your strategy or planning for 2021? I know for us, personally, when it comes to us doing product development, planning out the features that we're working on, we have always been huge into working directly with our customers, right? And a lot of that has frankly always been Zoom or other platforms in terms of, face-to-face video chat, and understanding our clients' requirements. And so for us, our 2021 is still 100% product-driven discovery with our customers, and making sure that we understand their pains and we listen to what they're saying and they're going through, so that we can help you guys the best that we can, right? So for us, I think the thing that stands true for us is just make sure that we're always listening, right? Listening is the key proponent to our business here. And, we follow product philosophy. You'll see Marty Kagan talk later a little bit more about that. But that's definitely kind of remains something that we'll look to next year as well.
Yeah, and I can agree to that too, Matt. That's something here at OpenForge we're looking at as well. From ensuring that we're listening to our customer when they're talking about their product, along with educating our customer in the mobile realm. We want them to understand the technology that they're building, even if they're not necessarily from a technical background. We want to give education and be transparent about all of our processes and what it takes to build a mobile application and what your mobile application is built in. We've done, I think, a couple other strategies that remain true are some we do in our design phase, which is product mapping, feature pyramid, really nailing down and understanding the core reasoning behind feature development, trying to get into the user's shoes and trying to understand their perspective, really engaging and understanding feedback that's coming to the customer and helping them triage that and prioritize feature development, understanding the weight and timeline. So really working together with them hand in hand has always been an excellent strategy for us.
Definitely.
One of our big
think
things that we, oh, I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead, man.
One of our big things that we have different core values that we have, and one of the things that we've really focused on this year is practicing empathy, right? And so practicing empathy for our coworkers, for ourselves, knowing that, like, hey, there's people that are working from home with their kids trying to do virtual school at the same time, and everything's kind of crazy and up in the air. And so we're practicing empathy for our coworkers, but also for our end users, practicing empathy for our clients. And I think that's really been helpful for us in driving the decisions that we've made this year. And I think one of the things that we're really going to focus on next year as well is until we get back to some resemblance of normal, right? That is really just making sure that we're having empathy for everybody, and understand that everybody's trying to do the best that they can right now. And so I think that's what's kind of driving our sales. It's driving our product decisions. It's driving a lot of the things that we're doing right now.
Yeah, I think that's so incredibly important. I mean, even at Ionic, we had our coffee break. Happens every 2 weeks, right? We get people in the same room, and we just make sure that everybody's kind of up to date in the business, can ask questions, all that kind of stuff. And our big topic last week was basically that, right? Empathy. Like, hey, we're all going through this together, and we really need to make sure that we understand that we're all humans, and there are things outside of our work lives that impact us, like the kids running around, right? That we kind of need to just make sure that we always are taking deep breaths and acknowledging each other as not just somebody on the other side of a Slack message who's helping us with work, but as a human being that's going through the same thing that we are, and how important that is, and how much we need to make sure that we continue to do more and more to bring out the best in each other kind of through this time.
Coffee room sounds like a good idea there, Matt.
Yeah. So I mean, we were talking about, like, okay, right, Paulina, you mentioned like Among Us. Like, cool. Are there games we can hang out and play together? Like, are there, what are all the ideas on just like making sure that we can all kind of take a deep breath and learn with each other in this hard time?
Yeah. That's true.
I would love nothing more than to vote Max off a spaceship. No, just kidding. Rakesh, I know you were going to say something earlier. What's on your mind?
Yeah. Actually, what we make sure that we follow from this year is that the way that we created an environment where we are in sync with what Ionic is doing. I think that's exactly what we're gonna keep doing. Keep in touch with the Ionic Enterprise, the support team, where they keep us posted on what's coming on and how is the technology moving forward, so that we keep our applications up to date. That's one thing that I think we'll keep doing.
Yeah, always, right? And we're always trying to get better at sharing our roadmap and what's going on. But like Max said earlier too, it's all of you that are helping us build that roadmap and figure out how to impact everything the best. So by all means, if there's people out there watching that haven't yet, reach out. Let us know if you want to have one of those discussions. We are always all ears for sure. Let's see here. We probably got about 5 more minutes here before we can do a little music break in the next presentation. Just to call out again, I know I mentioned this at the beginning. These presentations, each kind of session does end a little abruptly. So as this winds down, what you want to do to get to the next session is in the upper left. I don't know which way is left looking at this camera. In the upper left, there's the little hamburger icon. Give that a click, and you can go back to the session list under the live tab. That is where you will always find the live presentation. So up next, that's real-time mobility, the rise of wearables and augmented reality with Brian. So if you get like booted from this and you want to get to that, just go back to the menu and you'll find that under the live section. With that, though, final 5 minutes. Are there any parting thoughts or stuff we didn't get to that people want to chat about to wrap it up? I think one of the things that I'm interested in too, we've talked a lot about human empathy and kind of empathy for our coworkers, empathy for our customers too. I think the other thing that is becoming way less of a stigma, especially because, you know, we're at home with the same group of people day in, day out. We're working with the same group of people day in, day out. Is you know, a lot of the stuff Ben is working on, especially like mental health is becoming a real thing, right? And so by all means, I just like to close saying, if there's people that you need to talk to, if you want to reach out, as always, like definitely go find people to talk to about what's going on in your life. We're all humans. We're all going through this together, and it's important to take care of ourselves, right? To paraphrase the great RuPaul, if you're not taking care of yourself, how are you going to take care of other people, right? That's kind of the important thing to me this year.
Absolutely. You know, we've seen just the way that treatment facilities are still caring for their clients and caring for their patients throughout this. You know, to have a lot of their buildings and a lot of their places shut down, it's difficult to build a relationship with a therapist. You know, when you're not having that face-to-face conversations, but the telehealth thing does work. We've seen that. We've seen it work in patients. We've seen it save lives. So 100% to Matt's point, you know, if you are struggling, for sure, reach out, get help. You can do it virtually. You can do it safely, but definitely get help.
I would like to ask Matt you one thing. Like,
Yeah.
what one use case that you heard, like, which blew your mind? Like, wow, this is something which never came to us. Like, what would be that one use case that you heard?
A use case for our software?
Yeah, like overall general from your clients, from your enterprises.
Yeah, frankly, I'm really excited for kind of two broad categories of things and how Ionic is being used. The first of which, honestly, is the stuff H&R Block just talked about, right? I love, and they're not the only ones. We have other people coming to us that are saying, hey, I would like to encapsulate entire pieces of functionality and then use that component, use that experience, use that micro app in 20 different places. And kind of how Capacitor and how Stencil and how Ionic can all help with that. I'm excited to see more and more use cases there. The other thing I'm really excited about, to kind of riff off what Max was talking about this morning, is because Capacitor has native apps has the native project as a source artifact, I am really excited to see how people start to use that superpower. Yes, it helps with easy things like, I use an error reporting service, and every time I did a Cordova build, I had to go modify my scripts to go call the error reporting service again, and it was just a pain. But like even cooler stuff, like what really native things can we start bringing to hybrid land is something I'm excited to see, right? And I think we'll see. Swarkit might talk about a couple of those examples in a little bit too. So I'm excited for that kind of stuff. Did that answer your question?
Yeah. Yes.
Cool. How about you guys? What cool stuff do you want to do using the technology?
I mean, you just nailed on the head one of the things that we definitely want to focus on, which is tapping into more native development that we didn't have access to before, or that was too difficult to access with something like Cordova or PhoneGap, RIP PhoneGap. But we've been doing a lot more experimentation on the Swift and Java level of trying to see what we can do, what we can break, and bringing that back in.
For sure. I mean, even I forget who was talking about it, but even like the new like home screen widgets, or like watch app, thing like that, like all that is super native, right? And like, frankly, have fun in Cordova, like trying to access something that's that native from the host operating system, right?
Yeah, and even to do a proof of concept was very simple with something like Capacitor like that. And a lot of people, even on the iOS home screen, I've seen examples of the creativity of what people are doing with those widgets and what other applications are releasing as support widgets. So I think it's going to be very, very interesting.
For sure, for sure. All right. Well, we're coming up on the final minutes here, but I'd like to thank all of you for showing up and having this conversation with me. I definitely appreciate all of your time. I would obviously love to do this again. Would love to hang out with you guys and get your thoughts on anything that you're working on or we're working on. So thank you very much for coming. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
All right. Bye, everybody.
Bye-bye.
Bye.